and welcome to another edition of X Feed. This one's going to be a lot about customer complaints. I'm going to let you know that right off the rip. We got some crazy news coming out of Apple. Tim Sweeney for Epic fighting the good fight and seemingly coming out quite on top for it. Claynosaurs. We've highlighted their award-winning trailer, but we have a little bit of FUD happening within the community of people questioning what's going on as they are jumping on to do a new mint. We'll see exactly how that is. And no, CoinCry yesterday was waving on a Pango. Listen, I didn't even see that. We got the notification on nothing. We are over on Abstract if you're wanting to watch there. With that being said, let's get into it. It really is that easy. So I guess on LinkedIn, you don't actually have to provide any credentials. And this person just said they went to Harvard. And they didn't say anything. You just got the badge for the account. So again, fake it until you make it. That is the theme of the day. In case you missed it, 2Prime announced, in quotes, we have determined as a firm to focus only on Bitcoin asset management and lending going forward. ETH statistical trading behavior, value proposition, and community culture have failed beyond a point that is worth engaging. Those are fighting words. But you also have to think, for anybody that's been within these Ethereum NFT communities that have spurted from that, I mean, I don't know if we can say it necessarily has failed. It's brought a ton of attention to Ethereum in general, huge onboarding. We're saying it's failed as a whole. Feels kind of stupid if we're saying Bitcoin's getting the attention right now, and that's where all the focus is. Sure, I'll agree with the take 100%. But not counted out. Warning, a fake Google subpoena scam is targeting crypto users. Attackers are impersonating law enforcement and demanding wallet data under the guise of legal action with forged documents. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. You probably haven't done anything that ridiculous that would require Google to send you a subpoena of some sort to, hand over all your information and yada yada. So let's try to be a little bit smart out there. Over an NBA Top Shot, did you guys know that they created the Tim Duncan moment, which was from his first game ever? Tim Duncan, NBA legend, Hall of Famer, everything under the sun. And it sold for $1,250. Okay, so we're going to come back to Top Shot, but just remember, cool historical moment here, especially if you're an NBA fan, and maybe you weren't watching the NBA at the time, and you kind of have a quick clip from the moment back then of what some different players look like, and just a moment in time. The stream today is also going to have a little bit of a focus on video games, and there is a lot of complaints about video games, and if you haven't seen, starting today, which was yesterday, Microsoft will be raising prices on Xbox consoles, controllers, and headsets, with games confirmed to hit $80 by end of the year. Well, congratulations. If you're in Canada, you've known that it's already been $80 for the past several years, but I guess in the US that has not been the case, so people are now realizing, oh my goodness, these games are going to get expensive. So Rob says, let me get this straight. Your console offers essentially no exclusive games you can't just get on PC, which is something that I realized early on. I was really into Xbox. I don't think I cared about half of the exclusive titles for it. And then when you got a PC, you were like, oh my goodness, I don't need to pay for this Xbox Live or these different things to be able to use on the live feed. And what I mean for that is in Call of Duty as an example, if you wanted to play multiplayer, you had to pay the online subscription fee where you didn't have to pay anything except for just buying the game on PC, which was why the hell is there a difference? Your console has been outsold by your main competitors by almost 40 million units, which is over double what yours has sold, talking about PlayStation. A lot of your console's exclusives are ending up available on your main competitors anyway. That is true. Your console is maybe a smidge more powerful than your main competitors, not enough to actually notice the difference, and you raise the price of said console by $100 5 years into this current generation of consoles. Bold strategy caught, in a little bit of a nice dodgeball reference for that movie, but not wrong within the takes. And we just continue to go down the list of people bringing up all the worst things around everything. Gotta say, this is the worst generation ever. One of the worst times in gaming history. Games are $70, higher if you're not in the States. Price increases across the board. Studios are shutting down, true. Game cancellations, games completely taken offline as well. That one super sucks. Subscription prices the highest ever. Influencers asking for all games to be free. An $80 games price increase thanks to Nintendo America. Which, okay, I don't really know a whole lot on that front. But yeah, pretty much just pure negativity across the board. And here's another interesting take. Video games will continue to go up in price. Even $200 will be possible because you're still buying them, despite how much you complain. The demand for video games is so high that nothing is stopping from price increasing. I feel like for myself on sport games, I don't know if you were ever really into any of the MLB, NBA, NFL, all those games. They just felt year after year sort of the same thing, a little bit different on the player front, but it wasn't ever enough of a difference to continue to buy it. Now, when I was younger, I ate that up and it was like, absolutely, let's go and buy the same edition. But I just simply don't do that anymore. Yes, I watch more than I would play any of these games for sure, and I've come to be more of a enjoyer from that perspective, where before I used to prefer to play the games over watching them. But either way, I just don't buy them. But for a lot of people, they're addicted and they'll still buy the game, all the extra microtransactions, and they put a whole bunch into it, which again begs the question of what the hell is the hate around NFTs when there's a chance potentially to recoup some of what you've initially put into it. But there is some big gaming wins. The president of France, Emmanuel Macron, commenting on Instagram about Claire Obscure Expedition 33 was not on my bingo card. So Expedition 33, this is a new video game that has absolutely hit all the top charts for everything. And then you got Macron in there going on and being like, yo, good stuff, which is kind of wild to see. So there are good things within video games, but there's also a lot of somewhat bad things. And speaking of bad things, latest 52.7% of all cryptocurrencies launched since 2021 have failed, according to CoinGecko. And you wonder why people are Bitcoin maxis. 2025 recorded the highest number of crypto project failures with 1.8 million. Now, I have to also take into account here, these are probably accounting meme coins and a whole bunch of other stuff that he's never actually attempted to do anything but get a little bit of social traction. So that sounds like a crazy headline, but I don't know if it necessarily is one. As of yesterday, Web3 games can now link to external purchases outside the US App Store without being charged a 30% fee. Congratulations to Epic Games and Tim Sweeney on a massive win, and here's why this is important. So although the iOS App Store has allowed NFT sales since 2022, payments had to be made within the app or otherwise transactions had to be reported back. This allowed a 30% fee to be levied for all in-game purchases, which was 15% for smaller devs, so there was a little bit of a cut there. Yesterday, the U.S. District Court ordered that the U.S. App Store can no longer restrict developers from linking to external payment experiences or charge fees on purchases made outside of the app. Such high fees made it unviable for most Web3 games to target mainstream audiences on the US App Store, but now the friction is gone. So expect to see more Web3 game launches on the App Store, more revenue going to smaller developers, and cheaper in-game economies for players. And this is something that I remember back when AI League from Futureverse was getting on the App Store and they were talking about how many different issues there were. Gilded Guardians, I think they went through a round of things that were somewhat problematic as well. It was definitely a flywheel of issues that were out there, if you will. And more people, again, Mikey Anderson talking about, you see what's happening, and Super Waj saying, NFTs, crypto payments now allowed in iOS apps, generational bull run coming for crypto consumer apps. So questions around all the stuff, what exactly happens? And then you see all this stuff about the price of everything. It's not just KFC. Prices of Popeye's chicken have risen so high, they are over $50 for a 16-piece meal. Everything on the menu is so expensive. I don't know if you guys have eaten out at all lately, but holy smokes, does it ever feel like dollars are absolutely worthless and not weighted at all what they were before? So we'll see. Do people notice this? Keep complaining about things? Is it going to see an uptick in crypto? People realizing inflation? We'll see. In case you missed it, someone burned this moonbird last night. So if you're a religious watcher of XFeed, thank you so much, first of all. But second of all, didn't we talk about how somebody spent a bag to get one of the glitch moonbirds? And the first comment on it was, you must know something that we don't, because why in the halibut would you be out there trying to go for this currently? But somebody paid $63,000 for this. And again, there's a lot of NFTs and stuff that was overpaid for 100% before. But it's just weird. They have somebody that's out there trying to buy into one of the rarest ones where we have people that are burning it elsewhere, which this is also a tax loss. I think we're beyond tax season, but maybe they got an extent. I have no idea. I have no idea. Other big news, though, the Web3 world can breathe a sigh of relief. They don't have to compete with Grand Theft Auto 6 just yet. They've announced that they are now moving the launch to May 26th of 2026. And so now it's basically a year and 20-ish days. And we'll be able to see Grand Theft Auto 6. We'll see what the Web3 world looks like. And maybe, this is a super hot take, but the amount of people that have referenced, oh man, what if Grand Theft Auto introduces their metaverse, or they have a persistent state that involves crypto and their online economy is all this. Maybe a year and 20-ish days from now, the whole Web3 realm is in a completely different light, and we can look back on this video and smile and say, remember what was then is not now. Every gaming company in the world will become a Web3 company. If you're reading this, you are not only part of the future, you are one of the highest conviction members. I agree. I don't know how the video game industry is going to 100% go. Like, I'm no expert by any means. I'm definitely an enjoyer of a fair few games, but I really think that we'll see more and more of an uptick because, not only can you raise, right, like sell things to people that just like the idea of what you're doing, you have a completely different audience. It's not necessarily Kickstarters. There's a lot more to go into it where there's extra funding because there's a whole bunch of chains that want certain things. We'll see also what the AI agent integration looks like. A lot of things to be optimistic about, I think. Crazy news in esports, nothing to do with Web3, but look at this. BLG, which is a team out of the LPL, which is like the China League of Legends esport team, got blasted game 1 because they play like best 2 out of 3. Fired their coach mid-series and then slaughtered Weibo in games 2 and 3. Imagine going into baseball and having like a doubleheader, and after the first game, the coach getting fired and then bringing in somebody else, and then they score 20 runs to 0. That's what it's like. Hell yeah. Justin, UK to ban retail investors from buying Bitcoin and crypto with credit cards. I feel like that is already a thing in a good chunk of the world for credit cards, but okay. Good to know the UK is cracking down on that. Maybe not the greatest, but we'll see what comes of it. And also, the EU is set to ban anonymous cryptocurrencies by 2027 under new AML rules. Okay, regulation going to be at the forefront. Igloo Inc., the team behind Abstract and Pudgy Penguins. Igloo Inc. and Pengu visit Washington, D.C. to meet with Congress, okay? As crypto moves towards broader political and institutional adoption, Igloo Inc. and Pudgy Penguins are committed to helping shape its future and being at the forefront of this movement. Recently, we brought the story of Pengu to Capitol Hill, sharing our mission with lawmakers. Pudgy Penguins represents one of the most accessible and relatable use of case of crypto for everyday people. It's proof that crypto can connect with culture, resonate with retail, and unlock new forms of participation. This, as just like a face value kind of reaction, you'd probably want like Pudgy Penguins versus some of these other brands because it is somewhat like almost instantly it can be appreciated. I don't know if like the little Pudgies are as appreciated, but I think the general like Pudgy Penguin collection and what they've done within retail is something that can be shown. Following our conversations with members of Congress, we're optimistic about the future of crypto in the United States and grateful to see thoughtful representation emerging in Washington. We're proud to be at the center of these conversations and excited to advise the government on and contribute towards pro-crypto regulation and crypto's future in the United States. So, that's a pretty big thing to be able to say, our collection and the team behind it are working with the government, which is also like counterintuitive because like part of it was like, hey, this is somewhat breaking away from the system because maybe the system doesn't work great for everyone, but then you're with the system and help. Yeah, kind of a thing. Okay, Adam Fern, who said yesterday that they wish they had a burner, saw a post today and was like, all right, let's go see what exactly all that hubbub is about. Quick, brutal thoughts on Token 2049, which is the most recent big crypto event in Dubai. As I head towards the airport, more honest than usual because I'm tired and very full. Some people are much more impressive than their online persona lets on. That's good. Others are deeply underwhelming and terribly lame. No, I will not name names. Darn. Dubai is sort of a perfect place for crypto conferences because it's a city that values the shameless flaunting of wealth. People wearing the equivalent of a cringe P&L tweet in the form of logos covering their entire bodies. Gross. We get it. You're rich. Cool. Try having a modicum of class. I mostly felt old unless I was with fellow or mature youngins. Achieved my biz goals of connecting with certain high-profile teams and excited to explore where I can go. Achieved my personal goals of new friendships I'm excited to develop. 20% of the dishes they served me had a gold leaf on it for no particular reason. Too many side events, not enough time. Traffic was a killer. Don't go to conference alone. Always bring a partner. Like that last line, true. I agree. You don't really want to go to those things alone because it's boring. And then two of you can be, more fun. You feel more open to trying stuff out. Too many side events is very interesting because that sort of was the vibe on the earlier NFT NYC days. There was like, okay, we have a whole bunch of friends here. Are they going to this party? They're going to this one. Do we try to go over here? And then you also have to deal with traffic of getting across town and then the time constraints. And then it goes, But people showing off wealth there. Okay. Claynosaurz. This announcement has had a whole ton of reaction. Claynosaurz is over on Solana, but you will notice immediately that they highlight Sui Network on this announcement, so let's dive in. Building the next great franchise means seeing the future of tech. That's why Claynosaurz is expanding to Sui Network. A breakdown of what this means for collectors, fans, and the future of our brand. So just as a reference beforehand, the most recent collection that sort of has a similar vibe is Good Vibes Club. They had their NFT collection launch on Ethereum mainnet, but then now they're saying like all their utility, they said this before, but all of their utility and activations and whatnot will be done through Abstract. So that's sort of a comparison. First, this is an expansion, not a migration, making that clear right away. Our existing collections will remain where they are and will plug into the new products we build. Sui gives us the infrastructure and tooling to create better products for the everyday entertainment consumer. As we scale Claynosaurz across social media, gaming, and TV, we anticipate many more incoming fans, and our experiences will become more inviting. Also interesting, just as a note, that they picked Sui here when Abstract is saying that they're the consumer chain, and now they're saying that Sui's the best for this everyday entertainment consumer. Very interesting. So why Sui? We chose Sui because the tech lets us do more without compromising user experience. Frictionless onboarding with ZK login, fast transactions without latency through parallel execution, on-chain and cross-platform composability for richer experiences, community, yada, yada, yada. Popkins Unleashed will be our first upcoming public mint on Sui. So this is a bold call, which a lot of people have been kind of questioning. And we'll see this about any collection that decides to do a mint. People saying, oh my goodness, we bought at X price. Why are you guys expanding? Is this for money? Is this for other reasons? Maybe it's good in some cases. Maybe it's bad in others, but it'll always have massive visceral reactions one way or another. The Popkins are an expansory cast of characters designed to deepen the Claynotopia universe and open up new entry points for fans. This mint will run entirely on Sui. The mobile game developed with Gameloft will include Web3 elements abstracted away from casual users. Those who want deeper utility, connectivity, or ownership will tap into Sui-backed components like asset ownership, interoperability, and progression. Claynosaurz has been more than a collection. We're building an entertainment franchise spanning storytelling, games, collectibles, and community. Sui allows us to keep pushing the boundaries of how fans should experience brands in today's day and age. We believe the biggest brands of this century will be formed now, leveraging technology that will be commonplace in years to come. Like Disney did with animated storytelling in the 1920s, we will create a new entertainment paradigm. Expanding to Sui gives us the tools, we build that vision, and Claynosaurz is leading the way. So, reading all this just goes back to my thought, and like, I'm not the only one that have it, but the future is absolutely going to be multi-chain. These guys are on Solana, no, they're on Sui, Good Vibes Clubs, on like two different things. We're seeing every collection being kind of, across various networks. And people that are in Web3, do they really want to go and have to do everything on these different chains and interact, figure it out? Or can you just have your AI agent do it for you, type it in and be like, yo, I want to do this over here. I have this amount of money in my wallet, figure it out. Then they'll go and do it all for you. That's how we look. Okay, here's a couple of reactions. This person's got one of the gold. Do we call it, is it pterodactyl? I think it's a pterodactyl. I'm assuming this was a super expensive piece from the Claynosaurz collection, so we'll see what they have to say. Here's my perspective on Claynosaurz' recent Popkins announcement and why I'm hyped to mint them. For context, I'm a top 10 holder of Claynosaurz with significant positions in both the OG and Saga collections. All right, we're talking with a whale here, so take it with a grain of salt. As someone who works in private equity investing in legacy media companies, I can tell you that what Claynosaurz is doing is revolutionary. Not the first time we've heard that. The gap between traditional entertainment franchise building and the Kalena Store's approach is night and day. They're fundamentally changing how entertainment franchises are built and how creators connect with their audience. It reminds me of when Netflix transformed distribution. At first, people laughed at Netflix streaming. In hindsight, it seems obvious that the internet distribution would eat legacy cable. Okay, so you're taking a little bit of a breather here. I don't know. Like, what... I'm not familiar with the Kalena Store's collection other than the fact that they have like a really good animation and they have NFTs. So I guess what I would want to hear about this is like, how is it revolutionary? What are they doing a little bit different? Not that they aren't, but like, I don't know, being somebody on the outside. The Popkins launch on Sui showcases this forward thinking. The characters are incredible. They have that special magic that makes them instantly lovable to both kids and collectors. But it's not just about great IP. It's about distribution and community building in ways traditional media companies can't match. Let me be clear. I'm a huge Solana believer and couldn't be happier that the team is keeping their existing collections on Solana. But launching Popkins on Sui is strategically brilliant. Sui has no established blue chip NFTs yet, but Basecamp showed there's massive enthusiasm and capital ready to back the right project. So this is interesting. I'm not familiar with Basecamp, but if there is somebody there, then that's huge. And this is something where, you know, within like Futureverse and the whole Ripple connection, I thought, well, okay, I don't really know if there's any necessarily top collections that have mass appeal on XRP. And I was like, oh, well, hold on. If Root Network's able to connect that, then it could be them. And it doesn't feel like that's going to end up being the case. But for this, whatever this Basecamp thing is, if Sui's got that demand and Kalena Store's is able to pop on there, but what does that mean for the prior collections? What if the Sui collection is then end up worth more than what the OG one is? Not that that will happen, because this is probably a larger mint, but still food for thought. Different chains attract different types of users and capital. Why not tap into that? The feature isn't chains owning brands. It's brands leveraging multiple chains. Oh, we just said that. The smart plays will be chains fighting over premier IP, not the other way around. True. Here's what traditional media doesn't understand about value creation. Pokemon cards aren't valuable simply because they're rare. They're valuable because Pokemon is everywhere. When your brand reaches billions of people, that's when your rare assets become true grails. Some Web3 folks obsess over short-term dilution, missing the bigger picture entirely. Now, I don't want to go through all this because holy smokes, this is a crazy read, but generally like the tone within this, and also agree that if you're able to get out there reach, then your rare stuff just becomes, you know, in demand. But then on the flip side, we have Odo, who also is rocking a profile of one of the Kalena Stores, saying my Kalena Store's hype went from 10,000 to 500 in one day. Holy smokes, we got a bear alert. Still extremely bullish on the long term, but sometimes I don't understand the decisions made. And so there was a back and forth here where they were like, yo, let me know the question. It says, my question is not even about the Sui choice over Solana. I got it, and it's a smart move. Question is about the 25,000 new supply of NFTs coming. Don't you think it's a lot and will decrease the current collections that were at 12 Sol and 8 Sol only already? Still trusting the process. Somebody else is saying bad timing. Agree with it. But it is a good take. Does it mess up the community at all? Does it go back to the take that we just saw? It's like, no, you need more people to be associated and own something. If you're watching right now and you don't hold anything that's like a Bored Ape or a Pudgy Penguin, do you think that if you had a smaller collectible of it, let's say that it's only worth like $50 to $100, would you feel more attached to that brand because you own something of it? Or would you just be like, all right, that's my wall and it's kind of whatever, but you don't think anything of it? These are sort of the questions. The sooner we accept that NFTs in their first form were a one-time bubble shaped by a global pandemic and impossible to replicate, the faster we can start building their next evolution. I agree with this. I think there's components of it that can last within, like, you know, high quality art, the historical context. History is sort of different from collection to collection of what people really value, and sometimes it comes down to an individual just saying, oh, I like the historical aspect of this versus something that does give some sort of extra utility. Yo, Colin, what's going on? Appreciate the energy you're bringing. Hell yeah. Good morning, good morning. Hope you're well. Thank you for tuning on in over on Abstract. But yeah, I don't know if I disagree with this, but I do think that we're starting to see more different forms of them, and it's coming down to also, is this AI agent aspect where you can take these NFTs or have them across multiple experiences, because everybody's building a game. So how can you just bring one character into all of them? Do you have to pay to get into all these Web3 games. There's not that fun conversational pieces that we all have. We're all interested in our own silo. And to the point that the one individual was mentioning a moment ago about you're going to have different capital and different types of people on different chains, that's absolutely the case if you've ever been out there kind of messing around. And yeah, hell yeah, Colin. So Board Bishop, Brewmaster, Anthropomorphic AI Agent Brand Mascot. So I want to put a situation to you. Have you ever gone to the store and you're just looking around and there's staples within what you purchase? Because at one point in your life, you either just were like, I want that product, the branding looks good, I recognize it, or I've had it as a meal before and I just remember and like it. But at one point, you didn't know what it was. And somebody or yourself decided, I'm going to go and purchase that item. And that comes down to awareness. In some cases, let's use, alcohol as an example. There's a whole bunch of different brands when you're watching sporty events that are like, yo, go buy this beer, or certain cars are like, go for our brand. But then in the Web3 space, you're like, okay, well, all these products are about specific items. Sometimes there's airdrops involved. Sometimes it's about merch. In this case, for Board Bishop, they are doing something that is related to alcohol. And I've actually did an interview with them. The guy behind it is named Peter, and he's Canadian actually, and he does a brewery. And what he did is he went to a bunch of different apes and he started fundraising essentially off of getting these people that wanted to have their IP on these cans. And so they're a brewery that sells Bored Ape branded alcohol. And so knowing that, and if you were going to go to the store and you're kind of like open to getting whatever, well, there's a chance because you're now aware of, whether it be through the Bored Ape, through this AI agent right now, you kind of have that first touch. And so that's my question with how these AI agents are going to work. Is this something where we get influenced by it a little bit more? Do we care if there's certain promotions from AI agents out there? What's the reciprocal manner of this? And we're seeing more and more companies deciding to go down this route. So on the topic of customer complaints, which we've had a couple of the day, Cute Nick here had a whole bunch of thoughts regarding NBA Top Shot. Dapper's conversion from collectible to fantasy game fast break means building a collection is a no-win situation, unfortunately. The inability to grow collectors has forced them to stick anything they can inside their packs to help them sell, crushing collectors. The newly created moments have no demand, so they are forced to buy older moments from previous seasons to create a chase for pack flippers at the massive harm of anyone that dared to build a collection. Now, for anybody that's followed me for a while, like we were having the time of our life back in Top Shot. We were doing streams. We were cranking like 100 plus viewers for 7 to 8 hours a day. No problem going over the marketplace, waiting in pack drops, having an absolute blast. But then it just started feeling bad of there's way too moments. There's no scarcity within these things. Something feels a little bit off. And then seeing that like there's still problems with things, it's like, But then I saw this post from Hated J saying, I'm listening to the highly anticipated Top Shot Twitter space right now, and for the first time, I think I agree with Drew Ostrom. The community might actually be the biggest problem. So I've been watching the stream the whole time. If you remember at the beginning of the stream, we played the Tim Duncan ultimate moment from his very first game in the NBA, which was a cool historical moment. Ignore the price tag for it. It was just cool. And so to the point of if the audience on Top Shot is still looking for pack flips versus collecting for the sake of historical reasons or not gambling by any means on them, well, maybe it might be a self-inflicted thing that just the aura and the community that's built around there is after one thing when it's supposed to be this historical cool piece that highlights different moments from different games. And also a big problem is them just doing random moments that are kind of crap, and it feels like it's just filler when it's like you have so much to pull from back in the day, from season to season, from game to game. And so I don't know. There's your food for thought, and there's your customer complaints. But that's going to be it for this edition of XFeed, wrapping up the week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your weekend. And again, if you're wanting more content, we do the RWA Segments podcast. If you happen to be following me on Twitter, you can check my bio for that. If you're watching on YouTube, check the link down below. They're short ones that you're able to go and listen to, whether you're driving, going to the gym, going for a walk, doing whatever you do. But again, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Bye.